The question always got asked is, when would ordinary people, like the people who voted for Brexit, notice that things weren't going the way that the Brexiteers had said? Because if you've been following this whole, well, Brexit nonsense, you know that since the beginning of this year, since Brexit officially started, things have not been going the Brexiteers' way. Now, ultimately, this has been, of course, in trade deals. They have not been as good as the Brexiteers have been saying. We've had industries pretty much from every single sector experiencing shortages, delays, problems, losing customers overseas. We've seen investment overseas has dropped significantly, and now we are starting to see a rise in prices, because it would only take so long before this eventually becomes a rise in prices. In fact, there was a really good article about how the cost of tinned tomatoes has drastically rised in prices this year. But we're not going to go over that because I think this article expresses it a bit more better, and I think shows you not just one sector in like food, but almost everything that is affecting us, from food, entertainment, materials, energy, all have risen in prices since the start of Brexit. Something, of course, again, we were accused of being Project Fear. Well, as we always said, sooner or later, reality is a very, very harsh mistress, and it will not be long before she comes knocking on the door. And of course, here we are, and it's always the question of how do they get out of it, because sooner or later, their hot air balloon is going to run out of hot air. And sooner or later, people will start asking the questions of, well, why have things got more expensive? Why has this happened? You said this wouldn't happen. I keep on saying, people in the north are asking, where's our investment money? Where's our new infrastructure? Where's our new investment in our region of their new Conservative MPs? Hence why, again, before the summer recess, Johnson had to go out and do that big levelling up speech where he basically promised nothing. It was just a load of hot air with no policies. That even now trying to hire someone to hopefully dictate what direction that goes in, and even then, the recommendations he's going to make, the Conservatives aren't going to do. They're not going to do at all. We've seen what happens with the Levelling Up Fund, and of course the Good Law Project currently suing the government to find out what this happened. Again, the money is nowhere near enough that many towns and cities need to actually help them level up and help get rid of inequalities that they're facing and seeing in their towns and cities. Not going to happen unless you're willing to put up the money to do it. And as we've seen before, the Conservatives do not want to put the money in to do it because they're just, I don't know, resistant, allergic almost to spending money. But anyway, here we go. So, but before we do jump into that, please do remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, down below, there are links to my Patreon page, as well as a one-off donation link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can, well, buy me coffee. And as always, thank you very much to all those people who do support the channel that way. So, this comes from The Guardian, and the title is, Shop Prices Rise Amid Driver Shortages and Brexit Red Tape. UK shop prices rose last month, according to latest data from the British Retail Consortium. It is a sign that driver shortages and the costs of Brexit-introduced red tape are beginning to hit household budgets. The latest figures from the BBC and the research group Nisar IQ reveal that a 0.4 month-on-month rise in August, and this was driven by a 0.6% rise in non-food prices, including a sharp increase in the cost of electrical goods caused by shortages of microchips and shipping problems. While the British shop prices remain below those in 2020, down to 0.8% in August compared with the same month a year earlier, the market did show a slowdown in deflation from the 1.2 year-on-year fall recorded in July. There are some modest inclinations that rising costs are starting to filter through into product prices, said Helen Dickinson, the chief executive of the BRC, which represents hundreds of retail businesses. Food retailers are fighting to keep their prices down as far as possible, but with mounting pressures from rising commodity and shipping costs, as well as Brexit-related red tape, this will mean that it will not be sustainable for much longer, and food prices are likely to come in the coming months. The disruption has been somewhat limited, but in the run-up to Christmas, the situation could get worse, and customers are expected to receive a reduced choice and increased prices on their favourite products and presents. The BRC warns that comes after the toy retailer, The Entertainer, said that prices could rise by about 10% over the next 18 months because of supply chain disruption. Labour shortages and the high transport costs at the grocery chain Iceland has also said the poor availability of lorry drivers could indeed ruin Christmas. Dickinson called on the government to try and increase the number of HGV drivers tests currently taking place and change the rules on funding for driver training and provide temporary visas for EU drivers to try and help ease the shortages, which have led to gaps on shelves. Without the government action, it will be the British consumer who will pay the price, he said. The indications of rising prices in the UK come as inflation across the Eurozone suggests a surge to its highest level in more than a decade, with mounting costs of energy, goods and services hitting household spending. So the statistic body Eurostat has estimated that the euro area annual inflation is expected to be at least 3% in August, up from 2.2% in July. This is easily the highest level since 2011, and the inflation moves sharply above the European Central Bank's target of 2%. Energy prices had the biggest impact on the cost of living, rising by 15.4% year on year in August, but other prices rose too, including non-energy industrial goods were about 2.7%, more costly than over a year ago, suggesting the rise in raw materials is now reaching consumers. Food, alcohol and tobacco prices also rose by 2%, while services cost rose by 1.1% more than a year ago. So, as we can see, prices are indeed on the rise, and it will be a case of sooner or later these will hit home. We live in a country where if someone receives a surprise bill of about £400, that will bankrupt most people in this country. These price rises and the proclaimed cost that the Brexiteers are shouting about. Oh my God, wages are going up. Hooray! What a Brexit benefit! But prices are rising as well. So even if wages do go up, then that essentially gets eaten by all these price rises. Like I say, they've got some splaining to do, and they ain't prepared to admit that it's their precious projects that might be at fault. But there you go. As always, please remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe button on your way out. And of course, down below there are links to my Patreon page, and of course, you can buy me coffee on the one-off donation link below as well. And as always, thank you for watching, and we'll see you all next